The Prologue of Ohrid Jun 12th. The Venerable Onufrius the Great. This saintly hermit had been living in the desert for 60 full years when the monk Paphnutius visited him. His hair and beard reached to the ground, and his body, due to a long period of nakedness, was covered with long hair. All his hair was white as snow, and his entire appearance was brilliant, sublime, and awesome. Seeing Paphnutius, Onufrius called him by name and recounted to him his Onufrius's life in the wilderness. His guardian angel had appeared to him and brought him to this place in the wilderness. For a long time he had eaten only vegetables, which could rarely be found in the wilderness. After he had endured violent combat with the temptations of the demons, and his heart had been completely strengthened in the love of God, an angel of God brought him bread for nourishment. Besides that, by the good providence of God, there grew up next to his cell a palm tree that brought forth dates abundantly, and a spring of living water began to flow there. However, Onufrius said, I mostly nourished myself and quenched my thirst with the sweet words of God. To Paphnutius, to Paphnutius's question as to how he received Holy Communion, the hermit answered that an angel of God brought him Holy Communion every Saturday. The next day, the elder told Paphnutius that it was the day of his departure from this world. He knelt down, prayed to God, and gave up his spirit unto God. At that moment, Paphnutius saw a heavenly light illuminating the body of the reposed saint and heard the singing of angelic hosts. Having honorably buried the body of Onufrius, Paphnutius returned to his monastery, that as a living witness he might narrate to others, for their benefit, the wondrous life of this man and the greatness of God's providence toward those who have completely given themselves over to the service of God. Onufrius died in the year 400 AD. Venerable Peter the Athonite. Peter was a Greek by birth and a soldier by profession. Once in battle against the Arabs, Peter was captured, bound in chains, and cast into prison. Peter remained imprisoned a long time in the town of Samaria on the Euphrates River, and he constantly prayed that God would free him from his prison and take him to a wilderness where he would dedicate himself completely to a life of prayerful asceticism. Saint Simeon, the receiver of God, together with Saint Nicholas, appeared to him in prison and touched his iron chains with his staff. They melted like wax, and Peter suddenly found himself in a field outside the town. He immediately set out for Rome, where he was tonsured a monk by the Pope himself at the tomb of St. Peter. After this, he again departed by boat for the east. The all holy birth giver of God, along with St. Nicholas, appeared to him in a dream, and the birth giver of God told St. Nicholas that she had designated Mount Athos for Peter to live on in asceticism. Up to this time, Peter had never heard of Mount Athos. Disembarking, therefore, on the holy mountain, Peter settled in a cave, where he remained for 53 years in difficult ascetic labors, in a struggle with hunger and thirst, with heat and cold, and especially with demonic powers, until he had overcome all with the help of God. After he had endured the first temptation and had successfully passed the first difficult test before God, an angel of God began to bring him bread every 40 days. On several occasions, the tempter, the devil, appeared to him under the guise of an angel of light, but Peter repelled him with the sign of the cross and the name of the all holy birth giver of God. About a year before his death, he was discovered, excuse me, by a hunter who was hunting deer around Athos, and from the mouth of the saint heard his life story. He died in the year 734 AD. His relics were translated to Macedonia. The Venerable Timothy, the Egyptian hermit. Timothy first lived a life of asceticism in the Thebaid and then withdrew into the wilderness, where he lived for 30 years. Having pleasing God, he died peacefully. The Venerable Basian and Jonah. Basian and Jonah were monks on the Solovki monastery. They drowned and were washed ashore in the year 1651 AD. Over their graves a sign appeared, and because of this, a church was built. The Petrominsk monastery was subsequently established there. Once, when Tsar Peter the Great was saved from a tempest, he remained there for 3 days, made a cross, and erected it on the shore. Hymn of Praise, the Venerable Peter the Athonite. St. Peter in the fearful wilderness of all earthly riches was deprived, but through tearful prayer he overcame all the rich illusions of the devil. His heart he bridled, and to God raised it. His mind he set upright, and to heaven uplifted it. Immobile as a rock among the cliffs, wearied by hunger and all night vigils, he directed himself toward every good, as a fleshless one in earthly flesh. On Mount Athos for half a century, in prayer he spoke only with God. From age he turned as white as snow. No man he saw, nor did he desire to. To him God revealed the window of heaven. Countless miracles he saw, the Mother of God and God's angels, and the all wonderful saints of God. To him the Lord an angel sent, who gave him Holy Communion from heaven, until Peter made himself a spiritual giant, a city on a high mountain, to be a teacher throughout the ages, to the holy monks a wonderful example. Reflection. Great and wonderful is the mystery, sacrament of Holy Communion. Even anchorites, recluses, and hermits craved for nothing so much as to be given the possibility to receive Holy Communion. Saint Mary of Egypt begged Saint Zosimus to bring her the holy mysteries by the Jordan and commune her. Returning from visiting Saint Onufrius, the venerable Paphnutius found a humble community of 4 young ascetics in the desert. When Paphnutius asked them whether and how they received Holy Communion, they replied that an angel of God visited them every Saturday and Sunday and gave them Holy Communion. Paphnutius remained until the following Saturday and was personally convinced. When Saturday dawned, the entire community was filled with an indescribable, wonderful fragrance, and while they were at prayer, an angel of God in the form of a handsome young man, as bright as lightning, appeared with the all pure mysteries. Paphnutius became frightened and fell to the ground in fear. But they raised him up and brought him to the angels, so that he, along with them, received communion from the hand of the angel. According to his own testimony, Saint Onufrius received Holy Communion from the hand of an angel, as did many other anchorites and hermits. Therefore, it is completely erroneous to think that solitaries and hermits did not receive Holy Communion. God, who provided for their bodily nourishment, did not leave them without the life giving nourishment of the body and blood of Christ the Lord. Contemplation. To contemplate the miraculous multiplying of the bread in the wilderness. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, This is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the village and buy themselves victuals. St. Matthew 14:15. How the Lord fed 5,000 people with the 5 blessed loaves. How he is that living bread, who alone can miraculously feed my hungry soul, which all the rest of the world together cannot feed. Homily about the place and the hut. The house of the wicked shall be overthrown, but the hut of the righteous shall flourish. Proverbs 14:11. The palace of Herod lies in ruins, but the cave of the child of Bethlehem remains. The crowns of the Caesars have been lost, but the bones of the martyrs have been preserved. The palaces of the pagan kings have been transformed into piles of stone and dust, but the caves of the ascetics have grown into most beautiful churches. The golden idols have been scattered into nothing, but the chains of the apostle Peter were preserved as a holy relic. The powerful Roman Empire is now only a tale of the dead, while the hut of Christianity, the Holy Church, is today the most powerful realm in the world. Where are the Jews, the murderers of God? They are dispersed throughout the world. Where are the powerful Romans? In the grave. Where is the power of bloody Nero? Where is the power of the evil Diocletian and the depraved Maximian? Where is the success of Julian the Apostate? Where are those high towers? They are where the Tower of Babel is, beneath dust and ashes, beneath shame and damnation. Go about your own city and inquire how many homes of the godless are excavated, how many huts of the righteous have grown into beautiful houses. Brethren, Heaven and earth are founded on justice, on God's steadfast justice. That is why all the pagan creations are like arrogant bubbles, which burst and are trampled on by passersby. The palaces of the pharaohs and the Babylonians are like trampled bubbles, while the tent of the righteous Abraham flourishes and blossoms in eternity. O my brethren, how all powerful and long lasting is justice, and how noisy and transient is injustice, like a storm on a summer's day. O righteous Lord, how magnificent and consistent you are in the exercise of your justice. To thee be glory and praise forever. Amen.